Hello, happy
Hello.
Monday. I hope
Yeah, we're still trying to recover.
recoup.
Yeah, I mean, what is 9 o'clock at night? I'm drinking coffee now already. Yeah, it was a long weekend for sure.
That it was. We were busy building walpinis.
Wallapina, yeah,
Wallapini.
Wallapini.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah,
we will show you later.
we will. We had what was it, off-grid conference?
Off-grid conference, I would say
Yeah.
off-grid living, sustainable living conference
Yeah.
here that was put on by dear friends Lee and Alex. They asked if they could host here, and we said, sure, by all means. All we do is cook and provide the venue, and they provided the entertainment and all the apparatus and the information. And I think once it got going, I think people were received it well. Anyway, the gasification thing, definitely people were excited by.
Yeah, the gasifier. It's a generator. It powers. You can store batteries. It creates extra fuel. It does also, it creates hot water. It creates cold air. And it all runs on wood. It's actually pretty incredible. So that was cool to see how that got to work.
It was.
And so these guys are selling property up near where?
Timmins. Up near Timmins.
9
hours north.
Very long ways away. They've got property like right on the water. And they've got all these off-grid solutions and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about that. And one of the things that seems to get recognized or is community living. So everybody, they get their places and they get their solutions, but people don't often think about the idea of maintaining a community and how hard that is.
Yeah.
Especially when you're coming out of like consumerism withdrawal and you're used to getting everything you want at the touch of a button. Right. And so relationships, you got to redo that. And I imagine that one of those communities could fall apart faster because of relationships than anything else. Right?
That's right. This one gentleman I was watching, what was he called? I think his website is called Grid Down Consulting. His name was Jonathan Hallerman, and I hope I'm not butchering his name. I probably am because I always do.
It's the only one way to say Jonathan, really.
But his last name, I think that's I believe I'm saying his last name correctly. Anyway, he was talking about that's the number one thing when picking a community to live with. A lot of people are looking at parallel societies and building bunkers and all this sort of stuff. And he highly is against bunkers because humans need people. We were not created to be isolated. And he said, what happens if you are isolated for a long period of time, you go a little crazy. So when you come to the surface, you don't know how to manage. And I think we saw some of that during the lockdowns. People went a little bit crazy, being stuck inside their homes for long periods of time, weeks, months on end, and refused to see anybody. And anyway, a lot of mental health. We saw mental health issues go through the roof. So I believe what Jonathan said, but his main thing was make sure the community you choose has family bonds, because family tends to overlook the bullshit of everybody, right? We all have a black sheep in the family. We all have that one relative that we're like, ugh, we cringe about seeing at Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving. However,
if you don't have a family member like that, you're the family member. Anyway, go on.
Exactly. But he is saying if you don't have family bonds to actually tie you to that community, it's very easy to say, I'm done with this craziness and hightail it out of there. And all of a sudden your community tends to fall apart very, very quickly.
It can do. So, everybody's like, we need a mechanic, we need a carpenter, we need a, medical guy. I would say you also need a relationship manager. You need an administrative somebody who can just keep the day-to-days going and then manage relationships and solve problems. And you guys got to have, some pretty solid rules in place to get through. We tend to want to grieve our differences with other people and not go to the source. And if only we had some sort of instruction manual to say, go to the source first. And if they're not listening, take somebody else with you. And then if they still don't listen, then, maybe give them the boot. Oh, wait, there is a solution like that. It's in the Bible. So,
Oh, you always know the right answers.
Well, God does. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, but you
I'm
help
just
get
repeating.
people there, right?
If you say so.
I say so.
You got there. Anyway, so we had for you the last chapter of Secret Societies. That is a committee of 300 and possibly the Privy Council, if we can scrape up enough stuff that's interesting on the Canadian Privy Council. And then that didn't happen, obviously, because our weekend
We forgot about this weekend.
Yeah, and everything went sideways. Plans went right out the window. So we were getting our hands dirty all weekend building our Wallapini in-ground greenhouse. And so we're going to do that show on Thursday. It will be a pre-record because we're going to COVID Collateral. If you'll look back in the shows, then Vanessa Dillon was on the show and she created COVID Collateral. So the premiere for that is on Thursday night.
Exactly. So we forgive you if you're not here either, but you can catch the show later on past episodes at tfmreport.com.
Yeah, if you don't show up, technically there's nothing to forgive. That's okay.
But please show up for COVID Collateral then. And
yes.
You can get the tickets, go to covidcollateral.com, and you can get the tickets there if you're in the Toronto area.
Right. So that show, that final episode of the Secret Societies will happen on Thursday. So tonight we're going to just do a good old fashioned, in case you missed it. We haven't done one of these in a long time. We kind of missed them.
Yeah, I feel like I've missed a lot because our heads have been like literally shoulders deep in research for the last 3 weeks. So no need to watch the show live on Thursday then, huh? That's correct, Hisham.
Yeah, thanks,
you can
Hisham.
watch it in past episodes on Thursday.
You are not our PR manager, but
thanks, Hisham.
Yeah,
love you.
We do. So some of the big stuff that we're obviously not going to talk about because it's all over the news. The giant row between Polyev and Wacko. There was a lot there. It's been duly covered, and we were looking for an angle that has not already been covered. It's not there. Everybody's been covering all aspects of this thing. But you've got Ferguson.
Oh, Rachel Thomas.
Well, Rachel Thomas.
Rachel Thomas got kicked out.
The House Chair.
Oh, Craig Ferguson.
Thank you.
Craig Ferguson. Yes, Craig Ferguson.
And maybe Ferguson.
I think it's Ferguson.
Anyway, yeah. The new guy after Rhoda. Rhoda's my hero, and there's nobody else. And so yeah, he's came out clearly on side with one other person. Rachel Thomas now has covered that she withdrew her statements, but that's been stricken from the official record. So that's really concerning. And
she got kicked out even though she withdrew her statements, right, which is pretty disturbing because she got kicked out for, point of order and basically calling into question Craig's authority in the House, and she got kicked out even though she did withdraw her objection to the way he was behaving in the House, because basically he was calling out the Conservatives for their name calling, but did not once call out the Liberals, nor anybody who watched CPAC watches Justin consistently and constantly put down the Conservatives and call them masochists and call them racist. And he was actually calling Pierre Poilievre at that time. What did he call him? Slimy? I think he was
spineless.
A
weak, spineless leader. And,
but he didn't have to apologize, and he didn't get kicked out.
And then Poilievre stood up and unwittingly created 1,000 T-shirts.
Wacko T-shirts going viral.
Wacko, yeah, and that's going all over the place. I can already see the T-shirts on merch sites.
Lori Bigori wants a Wacko T-shirt.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, he should get a cut of that. That'll cover off the Conservatives forever.
Thanks, Hisham. Greg Fergus.
Yes, Greg Fergus, and Michael Chuchong was quick to correct us as well.
Oh, did he?
He's not going to last long, so I'm just not going to bother remembering his name. So
we hope he doesn't last long.
He's not destined for much longer anyway.
Yeah.
So that was huge, and that got a lot of attention. So we're not going to bother with that one. This one, we love these ridiculous headlines. We used to do, you remember how that's kind of almost what got us through low COVID and lockdowns and all that stuff, were these stupid headlines like COVID now causes, sleeping on your side will
Causes climate change.
yeah. Well, yeah, and all these things that like are COVID related or
Gardening
vaccine
in the
related
dirt.
injuries. Yeah.
Touching dirt.
Right.
Causes climate change and causes heart attacks. Playing in the dirt causes heart attacks.
When all these vaccine injuries are coming out, remember that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Watching Netflix
so
too long would cause heart attacks, and yeah, it was ridiculous.
Which is funny because they want you to watch Netflix because that's how they program you for future events, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
BC CDC. Yeah, what was it? Glory holes.
Glory holes.
Get out of my bedroom. Yeah. So we have another ridiculous headline for you. This one's just brand new. The voracious U.S. catfish species is now in Ontario, possibly due to climate change.
They just keep coming. They're just not going away, these crazy headlines.
No, they're just still pumping them out. You got to give it to, like, I guess they're hiring all of the Weekly World News reporters over at CBC now. And when it gets more ridiculous than Bat Boy over at CBC, then I think they're off track.
They forget that catfish are here in Ontario too. They forget that catfish live in the lakes. So finding a catfish in Lake Ontario, probably not all that odd.
By climate change, you mean somebody from Alabama came up and put one in there? Possibly.
Or someone had them in their fish tanks, because a lot of time people have these wonderful fish in their fish tanks, and then they don't know what to do with them when they're done going, oh, that's pretty. So they either flush them down the toilet, put them down the sewers, or drop them in a lake. So yeah, I know we had 2 Oscars and a Pleco, and this Pleco got absolutely massive, and I didn't know what to do with him, and he just wouldn't die. So I understand people's frustration when they bring home exotic pets and don't know what to do with them. And
well, back in my hometown where I come from, we got a whole bunch of Texas bullfrogs in the lake, and they were actually eating ducks. They're so big. Yeah. And they were eating ducks, and it became a bit of a problem. Yeah.
Who brought that bullfrog into your climate? Climate change.
Climate change. Yeah, it came in on the glaciers.
Those darn clouds that want to block out our sun drop those frogs right on your island.
Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Anyway, so the China thing is that came to a conclusion. Basically, the findings were, yes, there was election interference, but it doesn't matter because it didn't really change the outcome, is basically what they said. So it's not, yes, there was an election interference, but it's not interference so much that, the official outcome was changed, because the official outcome anyway was China's big boy Trudeau, big boy.
Which is amazing, because how do they know that it didn't change the results? If it was tampered with, you won't know if it changed the results or not, because it was tampered with.
Well, because they had it already figured that was who was going to win. So maybe the election influence, they didn't cheat enough to reverse the already predestined decision.
So what is the outcome? How are they going to stop election interference in the future? Because, in another year and a bit, we're going to have another election. So isn't the whole point of an inquiry is, 1, to find out what happened, and 2, how we can stop it from happening again?
Yeah, there's all that. We're getting a note from Michael Chuchunk, so now I'm divided, and I can't multitask. Apparently, the paper said, I don't know what paper. You know what?
The paper that Fergus
Michael
read
Chuchunk,
was
get your microphone on. Stop sending me notes. Just jump here.
Yeah, I've heard one person speak about this, but I noticed pretty quickly when Fergus turned around to pick up the piece of paper that he read to kick out Pierre Poilievre. It was set aside from all of his other papers, and it had a sticky note on it that he took off and set down. So that whole thing felt premeditated. He was either looking for an excuse, or even Pierre was maybe in on it, because
No,
it
no,
really
no,
feels
you-
like the Liberals are tanking themselves on purpose to push people towards the Conservatives.
Okay,
No,
well, what people don't
wait.
understand or notice then is every time someone gets kicked out of the house, they reach down for that piece of paper
Do they?
and they read from that piece of paper because he's got to read the words
There you
exactly
go.
as is. It's like giving an oath. You have to read it exactly as is to make it legit. So, yeah, it was probably just a note saying, here is your paper.
Yeah, you'll need this.
Right?
This is your red card paper.
That's
yeah,
it.
and what you're implying really is that, there's possible political theater going on, and we know that can't be true, right? Okay.
I think whoever
only
is
in
in charge of the
movies.
scripts needs to, get some new ideas.
Mm-mm.
No, you like these ideas?
Super entertaining. This has been great. Yeah, this is better than As the World Turns, but
I just want to know, where did they go for beers afterwards, high-fiving each other that, hey, they created another distraction that everybody's going to talk about for a week. I want to know, where's their watering hole?
yeah, I want to go there too.
Yeah. I want to
I
see
have
the
a few
hugs and the high
questions.
fives and congratulations. Or you know what? You missed a line. You missed a word. I was supposed to say this based on this word, but you didn't say it, so I couldn't say mine. And it was killer. It was a killer line. Because I know in the theater world, we do that afterwards.
Right. What's Hesham saying? Also, the speaker actually says the name of the MP when kicking them out. Usually they can only call the minister or member of the riding they're in. So, yeah, and I guess somebody else is taking notes and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's two plausible theories. He's unorganized, and that helps him organize, and it's all political theater. I accept both. So,
Column A, a little bit of column B.
yeah,
You
thank you
got
for
it.
the color on that, Michael Chuchong.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, speaking of China and interference, they love. What?
We love you anyway, Michael.
Oh, yeah. You can come back anytime. We got videos coming. So Trudeau and China are so close that apparently China has a Trudeau Appreciation Day every year.
They do. And I had no idea they celebrate Trudeau over in China, but lo and behold, we found a video of them celebrating Trudeau in China. It's a yearly event, apparently.
Yeah, this guy just came back from China and he's filling us in.
You know that China loves Trudeau so much, they have an appreciation party from every year. Roll the tape.
Even the dogs getting in on it.
And this little boy
yeah.
wants nothing to do with it.
The one conservative in all of China.
That makes me smile every time I see it.
That's all right.
They're really not celebrating Trudeau. I'm not sure what they're celebrating or what happened.
Yeah, if anybody knows, like Coal Day or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, I
so,
couldn't find what it was, what it
yeah.
really was.
They do something similar in India, but at least it's like super colorful paint dust. So that's a good little laugh before we get into some of the weirder stuff. So CBC is they're not satisfied with indoctrinating the adults. They have to start
No.
indoctrinating the kids.
And this
Yes.
is from 5 years ago.
Oh,
5 years ago. And we've just come across this, but it's on CBC
Kids.
News. So they have a kids news channel, and this video plays on this, and it has been for 5 years.
Aww. Hi, baby. Are you a boy or a girl?
Funny you should ask, Sid. One of the first things they check when a new baby is born is what kind of body parts they have. They do that to determine a baby's sex. Most of the time, it's easy to determine, and sometimes it's more complicated.
This one has a penis. It's a boy. This one has a vulva. It's a girl. Congratulations.
Whoa, let's hit the brakes, people. The way your body looks on the outside is only part of the story.
What?
Stay with me, gang. This is important. Hi, little one. Your sex refers to your physical body parts, remember? But there is also something called gender, which is how you feel inside your body and who you know yourself to be. And your gender, how you feel on the inside, doesn't always match the sex you were called when you were born.
Okay.
Let's say you were born with a penis and you feel like a boy inside. In that case, your sex and your gender match.
But what if you were born with a penis and you know you're a girl inside, not a boy?
Then your sex and your gender don't match.
Wait, what does know you're a girl inside mean anyway? Does that mean you have to love pink things and princesses?
Nope. Sometimes people refer to things as girl things and boy things, but this is just how people sometimes classify things, usually to make it easier to sell stuff to kids and their parents. Clothes, toys, and games are for everyone. You don't have to be a boy or a girl to like a certain thing. Sid, has anyone ever told you that you shouldn't play with something or wear something because you're a boy?
Well, yes.
The body parts you were born with don't always dictate who you are, how you feel, or what you like to play with.
Ah, that's such a relief.
Gender, how you feel and who you know yourself to be, tells you who you are, and there are a whole bunch of possibilities. Figuring out what feels right for you is just part of growing up. Bye, little cutie. You might want to change that diaper sooner than later.
I love how she's educating the doctor there. That was, and you know what? I confess, I played with Barbies when I was a young boy. It was usually only when my GI Joes were off on furlough. But other than that,
but you know what? My sons played with Barbies because their older sibling was a girl and she would dress them up and whatnot. And me growing up, I was 100% a tomboy. I went hunting with my dad. I built forts. I, swam in the creeks with the fishes. I played all the sports. I used to pretend I was a WWF wrestler. All of those things I did. But then you'd see me running around in high heels as I wanted to be a WWF wrestler. And lo and behold, I love my dresses and my skirts and dressing like a girl and doing my hair. Still not a big makeup fan, but or nail polish or any of that sort of stuff. But I am 100% a lady. Well, maybe a woman.
Let's not go with a lady. Let's not do that. So Michael Chuchong has, you know what? Just come back on. You just stop with the notes. Do you want to fill us in with the blackface people?
Yeah. So the Hua people, one of 56 ethnic groups in China, are celebrating their traditional festival of Monihai, which literally means smear you black. They celebrate.
Yeah, I know. All the Asian names are very literal. Right.
Smear you black.
They crack me up every time.
Yeah, they celebrate this festival by covering each other with muddy water as a way of wishing health and happiness in the future.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Smearing you black means good luck.
So next time I push you in the mud, you remember.
You're just
I'm
wishing me health and happiness.
Yeah, that's right. I will remind you quickly after I trip you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with mud baths, right? People drive for hours to reach those mud baths in, is it volcanoes and cenotes and all of that sort of stuff, right?
All right.
So health and happiness. I guess so.
We
It
got
always
some
made me
minerals.
happy playing in the mud as a
Right.
kid.
Mm-hmm. So that's all Trudeau was doing.
Playing in the mud, wishing everybody health and happiness with his black face.
You should have tried that.
That's right.
You know what? He should have said that. Instead of saying all the other crap that he said, he should have said, I was celebrating with the Chinese. That's all I was doing.
Oh yeah, no, that would absolutely not go away either, would it now?
Not now.
'Cause people would just take that like he's putting in blackface because he thinks that's what Chinese people look like. So it's probably true. Let's be honest. Okay, so Michael, have you seen Has Been Hotel? Have you seen the
No.
trailers for this thing yet?
I've
So
not.
it's on Amazon Prime.
Are we going to jump over the kids and just go into this and then talk both of them
Oh, you want to talk
together?
about the kids?
Well, we can talk both of them together realistically.
Well, I mean, what's to talk about? CBC's indoctrinating kids with the gender stuff. I love how she's correcting the doctor.
The child is
Yeah.
correcting the. So there's two messages there. One, you can be anything you want just because a doctor pronounces you a boy or a girl. It doesn't mean anything. And two, children have the authority to correct adults and have more knowledge than adults.
Right.
Adults are stupid and children now lead the way.
That's what I thought when I was a kid too. But, I'm just like, well, what's the doctor's like, you're a boy because you have a penis. You're a girl because you have a vulva. Okay, cut, print, we're done. Doctor seems to have gotten it 100% right. 2 out of 2 on that one.
I would assume so.
Right. So that 7 years of training paid off,
Right.
Well,
That's
I
14
love
years
how
of
they
practical.
tie in something that you can't disagree with, though, too. How they the toys are for both boys and girls, right? So
Yep.
you can't disagree with that. So the whole thing must be real too, right? But no, it's-
Exactly.
Right.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. And then that's, 1% truth, 99% lies, wrap them all in together. I get it. I get it that people believe what they believe. And, I'm all in favor of protecting the most vulnerable and don't disrespect anybody. I'm all for that. So protect the most vulnerable, but for God's sakes, don't let them lead society, because then we're being led by the weakest of society by our own admission.
Exactly.
The most vulnerable now get to lead. That does not bode well for a strong society. Period.
The most vulnerable and the least
Yeah.
informed now get to lead society.
Right.
So this is why parents, it is so important to understand and pay attention to what your kids are watching on TV. Just because they're watching a kids channel does not mean they're watching kid appropriate programming.
Right. Which now this is not kid appropriate. This is not geared for kids. This is geared as an 18 plus cartoon.
However, it's
So
a
it's
cartoon.
not going after children. But like I say, we are in this time when if you don't have discernment right now, you are screwed, because this is Amazon's. It's fairly recent. It just came out like a month and a half ago. Has Been Hotel. Here's the first 2 minutes of the pilot, and you guys can make up your own minds on this one.
Once upon a time, there was a glowing city protected by golden gates, known as heaven. It was ruled by beings of pure light, angels that worshipped good and shielded all from evil.
So far, so good.
Lucifer was one of these angels. He was a dreamer with fantastical ideas for all of creation, but he was seen as a troublemaker by the elders of heaven, for they felt his way of thinking was dangerous to the order of their world. So he watched as the angels began to expand the universe in their ways. From the dust of earth, they created Adam and Lilith, equals as the first of mankind.
Lilith?
But despite this,
I don't
Adam
know who
demanded
Lilith is.
control, and Lilith refused to submit to his will. She fled the garden. Drawn in by her fierce independence, Lucifer found her, and the two rebellious dreamers fell deeply in love. Together, they wished to share the magic of free will with humanity, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, who gladly accepted. But this gift came with a curse, for with this single act of disobedience, evil finally found its way into Earth. With it, a new realm of darkness and sin, and the order heaven had worked to maintain was shattered. As punishment for their reckless act, heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created, never allowing him to see the good that came from humanity, only the cruel and the wicked. Ashamed, Lucifer lost his will to dream, but Lilith thrived, empowering demonkind with her voice and her songs, and as the numbers of hell grew, so did its power. Threatened by this, heaven made a truly heartless decision, that every year they would send down an army, an extermination, to ensure hell and its sinners could never rise against them. But Lilith's hope remained, and her dream was passed down to their precious daughter, the Princess of Hell. Don't worry, Mom. I'll make you proud.
Make sure we get that logo in there at the end. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even know what to do with that, to be honest with you.
The only thing I can say is yay for women. We outlasted Lucifer.
I guess so. Yeah, Lilith, came back and started a fair where women can get together and sing.
We are strong. We will survive.
Yeah, she's got a good marketing department. I'll give her that much. Yeah. Yeah. And Adam's like, hey, no. That apple, not good. This is not good. We're kind of, we're kind of obeying God. And she's, oh, you're too controlling. I'm out. I'm gonna go with Satan now because you're too controlling. So
You're a narcissist.
So it's just a weird mix of theology there. So they say that, because she took the apple, then Lucifer got in there and evil was let loose on the earth. But then, hell was okay all of a sudden. Hell got marketers, basically. Yeah. We know a lot of them are in there, right? And then so then all of a sudden God and the angels are the evil ones here for crushing poor Lucifer's spirit.
Well, this is just Yuval Harari, his step one to rewriting the Bible and having his AI do it for everybody.
So he says
everybody who's a black sheep in the family, it's okay. We're just going to rewrite things for you and make it okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
And women will rule the world at the end of the day. So it's okay.
But this is this is a lighthearted approach at this is an actual thing. Like there is a growing movement that, that Lucifer is the God of good and that God is the evil God here. So there's this flip happening.
There is.
And people are buying it hook, line, and sinker. Not sinkle.
Well, we were reading this thing called Helping Hands, and that's one of the things that they advocate for is that Satan is the real God, and he's the one showing us how to be good by giving us the option of evil, because we don't know what goodness is unless we know what evil is.
Right.
So they're doing us a favor.
Right. And as Hesham says, cartoons these days have all become about wokeness and social justice. BS. You're correct. What happened to the good old anvil on top of the head? What happened to that?
Right? I don't know.
I miss those days.
Cruelty to animals.
Yeah, PETA got involved.
That's right. Coyote had it coming. But you know what? At the same time, I rooted for that coyote the entire time. Like I'm like, just catch that
just
thing.
Once.
One good chicken dinner is all you put in the hard work.
Chicken.
So, well,
Are you talking the Roadrunner and
Coyote?
Coyote?
Yeah, he's chickeny. Yeah.
I always thought he was kind of ostrichy.
Well, he's a bird.
He's a bird.
Roadrunners are tiny. They're tiny.
Oh, well, this guy was big.
Yeah, that's the cartoon part of it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And rabbits don't talk or cross-dress.
What? No, no, you are crashing my childhood right now.
I'm sorry to break your reality.
Please tell me the little blue men with white hats still are real.
Oh yeah, they're real. Yeah, the little blue men they live in inner Earth and they
live in mushrooms.
They control the world with levers. So Matheson, this just happened. You read up on this, so you explain this more than I did. Do you know about this one, Michael G. Chung?
I think so. This is about the scarf, the keef.
No,
no.
That's
later.
Yeah, this is the last week has really been. No, this is municipal
out, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. What is it?
Province kicked them out. Yes. So
this is a municipal you know what? There is so much theater going on right now in politics. Everybody's getting kicked out. It doesn't matter if you're at the municipal level, the provincial level, or the federal level. So the Matheson Town Council, and thank you to Sheila McFarlane, who actually sent this to me and brought it to our attention. Matheson Council did not like something that was going on with regards to the unions and the staff, or the staffers and the unions. So they decided to basically not attend council meetings in an effort to get I guess the mayor and the other two people on council voted out because they have a rule in their bylaws that says if you miss or if you don't have quorum for 60 days in a row to hold a meeting, and it's just a small town council, there's 7 of them, and quorum is 4. So if over a period of 60 days, you do not meet for whatever reason, and in this case, it was they did not succeed in having quorum for 60 days, then the federal government can come in, the minister, I believe it's the federal government, I don't think it's the provincial government, but the minister can come in, Minister of Municipal Affairs can come in and deem your entire municipal council, your entire municipal government corrupt, or that's not the right word. Defunct. So, thank you. Void all of their standing and order a new election. And that is exactly what happened. 4 of the councillors decided to stronghold their will on the rest of the municipality and not go to these meetings. And they wrote to the minister asking for him to intervene and call an election.
Yeah, we were really hoping this was about C40 cities and mayors, global union and all that stuff, and they were rising up. But really, it was about a CUPE dispute with municipal workers. They'd been on strike for 192 days, and there was really no resolution. So because it was the mayor and 2 councillors that were opposed to going back to talks, and the other councillors like, we got to get these guys back to work, so they left.
Yep. But we're bringing this to your attention.
Yep.
And this is a county in Northern Ontario. It's up near Timmins. Amazing how Timmins keeps coming into our life this week. But this is a dangerous precedent-setting item. Now, this has been in the Municipal Act since 2001. However, this is the first time a minister has ever been written and asked to disband the municipal government in charge and call for a new election. It's never been done before. And so it's a government higher up, not the people that the municipal government serves, but the federal government has that power. If they don't like what your councillors are doing, or if your councillors don't like what other councillors are doing, they can just write to the minister and have him defunct the entire electorate that is there, the elected officials that are there. He can pull them out and usher in a new election and put in new ones.
Right. And we just, this government is so precedent setting in many ways, but they're talking about if the provinces don't work with them, they're just going to go and do an end run around them and go to the municipalities.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what they did now.
It's exactly what they did.
And now we've got municipalities just getting torn apart. This doesn't bode well because they're gaining ground in every municipality. People are learning how to fight these municipalities. They're actually gaining ground. They're calling out all the BS with the corporate stuff and the WEF and all the UN stuff. So now that we're getting better at it, now all of a sudden they set this precedent that they can just come in and stop. Now I think there are certain criteria they have to meet, but that just means if your councillors actually start gaining ground, then the ones that are still on the WEF agenda,
the C40
can just leave
and hold you.
Now, next thing you know, we're getting revoted.
Exactly. Right? And that's more money coming out of the municipal taxpayers' pockets and not wanted or asked for by the municipal taxpayers. So this is the second time that government has come in and overstep their boundaries, even though this one's actually written in legislation. But, Danielle Smith is saying the same thing. Hey, government, you can't come in and talk directly to the municipalities with regards to transfer payments and this, that, and the next thing, and housing and all of that. That's a provincial government affair. And here we've got the federal government being asked to step in and denounce the municipal council and call for a new election. So again, our government is not serving people setting
Nope.
horrible precedents. And we know that Sheila Hunter and Gather 30 are going. We showed a video of Joel Sussman,
Yeah.
who went to the Aurora Municipal Council, and they are denouncing basically the C40 agenda and trying to help councillors understand that we voted you in to work for us. You don't work for the CAO, who actually represents the UN. And now we're seeing that municipal councillors can actually
Right.
be pulled by the federal government now.
Right. Yeah.
So what chance do we have here?
So there's that going on there on the municipal level. We've got Conservatives kicked out.
Rachel Thomas, Pierre Poilievre kicked out
Kicked
of
out
the
when
House.
the Liberals got a pass.
Actually, before you go on, the Ford government just got bypassed too for all the housing money.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that went directly to the municipalities as well.
Right. Exactly.
So
Because
they're
Ford
trying to
was
buy
starting
the
to put up,
municipalities off.
yeah, he's starting to put up a fight again.
Yeah.
You know, like old Ford seems to be coming back a little bit. And I wonder if it was that video that we played. I don't know if we played it on the air, but there was this reporter who said, you know, how many jobs is your new initiative going to create? Ford was at the podium and he was about to step forward, and Trudeau just kind of shoves him back and answers and yells at the reporter, right? And it reminded me out of that scene from Deliverance with Ned Beatty, right? With the piggy scene. So yeah, I mean, it was just that bad, and I think Ford is just kind of almost had enough. And I missed a crack for Todd.
I miss
Michael
Rob
Harris.
Ford too. Well, Rob
Yeah.
Ford was a good guy.
Yeah, Rob Ford. I mean, he was nothing. He was Chris Farley.
He was Chris Farley,
Yeah,
but
I loved
he
him.
was 100% for the people.
But he also extremely entertaining.
Yes.
Extreme. Everything he said was
Yes.
it was news at 11 every time.
Ugh.
Yeah, so you're right, they're doing end runs, and now we got the kickouts with you know, the Conservatives, while the Liberals get a pass. They're changing the transcripts, and now you've got this show going on in the Ontario Provincial Senate.
Member for Ottawa Centre.
So we're looking at
The Ontario legislature.
right, and this is Joel Harding, who I know from many past experiences, and I forget her name, but they are standing up in solidarity with this other MPP.
The member for Hamilton Centre will come to order.
And did we check her name? Did you get her name?
Jamis or Susa Jamis or something like that is
The member for Hamilton Centre is warned.
So she's wearing a keffiyeh. I hope I'm saying that right. And so basically it's considered a
Sarah Jama, you are named.
Sarah
Sarah
Jama.
The
Jama.
member is currently not eligible to be recognized in the House pursuant to the order of the House adopted on October 23rd, 2023. As a result of being named for the remainder of the day today, the member is ineligible to vote on matters before the Assembly, attend and participate in any committee proceedings, use the media studio, and table notices of motion, written questions, and petitions. You must leave the chamber.
So I guess this isn't the first time. She's been warned several times, and the keffiyeh is a symbol of war, basically. That's very simply putting it. She refuses to take it off. So she's basically representing one portion of her constituents, and she knows what this symbol means. So she goes, she gets kicked out, and now Joel Hardin, who has been in the news several times before, he's like, today I defined the keffiyeh ban at Queen's Park at the request of Palestinian, Muslim, and Arab neighbors. While the ban has been lifted at the legislative precinct, it remains in the House chamber. So they're still not allowed to wear that because it's
in the chamber.
It's an inciting symbol, and it represents only one portion, and that seems to be a reasonable rule.
Correct. Now they're trying to argue that it is cultural. It's like the Israelis or Jews wearing a Star of David, or Christians wearing a cross.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to equate it to that. However, the Star of David and the cross is not a symbol for a terrorist group. And this is a terrorist group. And at the end of the day, if you want to say, well, it represents our culture and it represents the Palestinian people and it represents our denial of being able to govern ourselves, hence the rebellion that took place, the revolutionaries. And I'll tell you, doing a little bit of history on the kafaya, and I'm sure I'm butchering that too, and I
That's
do
closer.
apologize.
It's closer than the way I did it.
But the kafaya has been worn for many years, but it was always a symbol of lower class. All the peasants and the farmers used to wear them, and they wore them because of the harsh farming, the weather that they were exposed to, the dust and the sandstorms and the harsh sun. So they wore it just to protect themselves. But then when the British invaded, the rebellion, the terrorists, the rebellion or whatever, standing up against the British soldiers, they wore it as part of their uniform. So the black and white keffiyeh was actually a symbol for the rebellion, and all the men wore it. And just to be clear, it was always worn only by men for centuries upon centuries. It was only worn by men. It was a symbol of masculinity. Right up until the 1969, when Layla Khaled, or I'm probably butchering her name too.
Layla Khaled. Yeah.
Layla Khaled. Right up until she wore it in 1969, she was the first woman to take part in hijacking an airplane. She hijacked the TWA 840 flight going from Rome to Tel Aviv because they believed it had the Israeli ambassador on it. So they hijacked it. Now, nobody got hurt. They allowed it to land. And after it landed and all the passengers were removed and they saw the ambassador wasn't on it, they blew up the tip end of the plane so it couldn't fly out. And she posed with this on. But not only that, she was wearing the keffiyeh, which was her saying, I'm equal to men. It's the first time a woman ever donned it. And from that moment on, other women started donning it. And then what happened is when the British soldiers came in, the leader of the rebellion at the time ordered everybody, all the men in the villages, to wear it so that the rebellious soldiers on the Palestinian side would blend in and the British soldiers wouldn't be able to tell them from civilians. And that's how they were able to overtake the British army.
Right. Yeah. And just going back to Joel there for a second, and I'm just seeing so much. We're seeing college kids converting to Islam now and praying to Mecca. These are, yeah. And we're seeing the Gays for Palestine's.
And they don't even understand what it is. It is literally the symbol to embody the Palestinian nation. But it's for the terrorist group, Palestinian Liberation Association, which is a terrorist organization. That's what that kafah is. And that is why it is not allowed in the chamber of the legislative building. There is a rule in their bylaws saying you are not allowed to wear or don any sort of political symbolism in the chamber, because the chamber, you were there representing everybody. Every Canadian or every Ontarian is who you're supposed to be representing. So if you're walking in there wearing a terrorist symbol on you, you are no longer representing all of Ontario, all of your constituents. So for them, those three ministers to stand up and say, well, our Palestinian constituent asked us to wear this, their answer to them is, I'm sorry, we're not allowed to, because we don't just represent Palestinians, we represent everybody in Ontario. And they are not doing that. They're making a political statement here.
just bringing back up Joel Harding, if you'll remember, he was in the news not that long ago. This is an Uber activist, by the way. He's an Uber activist for everything leftist, wokist. And he was in the news not too long ago because he said he got punched in the eye by an anti-Soji protester. And turns out he just actually bumped into somebody and hit his own eye with his megaphone. And this is an MP who went viral on social media by saying he got punched in the eye by somebody else, which is a blatant lie. So we already have an MP who's got mental health issues, period. Right. And now he's identifying with a group of people who would kill him if he went to their home country. So, I mean, I just like highlighting the fact that Joel Harding's not fit to be an MPP.
Exactly.
Period.
And if you notice, Sarah, the one who started this rebellion in our chambers, she wears a hijab. So there's no reason already for her to wear another headdress of any sort. She wears a hijab already. So this is completely incorrect. And my question to them is, how do you think your Israeli constituents feel watching you walk through that chamber wearing a kafaf, which is known to be for a symbol of Palestinian terrorists?
Yeah, well, I mean, she probably
feel?
lives in an area that is heavily Palestinian.
Maybe, but how would her Jewish counterparts feel if she walked in wearing a Nazi flag or a Confederate flag?
Well,
because
I mean,
it's the same idea.
What about if the Christians came in wearing Jesus Saves shirts?
It's the same idea. You're not allowed to. You're not even allowed to walk in wearing a shirt that says freedom on it. Okay.
No, not in the
house.
Yeah,
you're
in
not
Ottawa.
allowed.
No, you wear a Canadian flag and you're kicked out.
Exactly.
So that's where we're at.
She needs to understand she represents all Ontarians, not just a tiny little segment of Ontarians. And they're not saying she can't wear it at the legislature. She just can't wear it in the chamber.
There's some good history from Hesham there. So there you go. So she started doing it during the Israel-Palestine conflict. So she chose her side, basically.
Before that, she wasn't wearing a hijab.
No.
Interesting.
No, she's thrown down.
So she's
chosen her
making
size.
she's making a political statement.
Yeah.
So they are correct in asking her to remove it. And when she
Yes.
refuses to, when she continues to break the rules of the House, she should be ejected.
Yes.
100%. Thank you, Hisham.
So we like to check in now and again and just remind people that this is all political theater. It is all a grand design, fifth generation warfare, psyops, whatever you want to call it, psychological warfare, whatever you want to call it. There is a site dedicated to psychological warfare. propagandaprinciples.wordpress.com. We just came across it, just found it. So they put out this thing for 9 principles of propaganda. This is if you want to have a good propaganda campaign. This is the backdoor hack into your mind. Number 1, the big lie. Always choose the big lie over the small one because the masses will believe it more readily. Probably. We're seeing that now.
For sure.
Number 2, focus. Use only 1 or 2 at most selling points, which is what they do.
Yes.
Safe and effective. Safe and effective. And repeat that. Safe and effective.
We're not all safe till everyone is safe.
Yeah, use them over and over until your enemies know them by heart. Blame, never waver, acknowledge no doubt, always blame, never credit the other side. Debase, defame, dehumanize. Well, we're seeing that in the House, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Both sides are doing that.
Both sides right now.
Exactly. So, there's that political theater. Provoke, first attract attention, then appeal to emotions. I call that cry bullying.
Well, that's exactly what we're seeing going on right now with Miss Sarah and the cafe, right? First attract attention, then appeal to emotions.
Crisis. Shades of gray don't work. Issues must be life or death, good or evil, freedom, slavery, love and hate. And that's basically it. You are on side or you are a Nazi. You are on side or you're a dirty, filthy communist, right?
Yes.
It's funny how the Nazis call non-Nazis Nazis, so nobody knows that the non-Nazis are not Nazis and the Nazis are not. Nazis.
Okay, stir that soup a little more.
Yeah. And goodbye, Facebook. Goodbye, YouTube. Right there. Crisis. Emotional symbols. That's where we're at. Good
Yes.
slogans have no literal meaning, only strong emotional. Yeah, we don't.
Common sense.
Right.
The common sense.
Right. Pander, ignore intellectuals and reasonable arguments, target to the unthinking masses with powerful emotional pitches.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, so seeing that these days. No limits, ignore all moral limits wherever you deem it useful. And that's the thing. Are you the idiot because you're in charge, or are you the idiot because you're following the idiot who's in charge?
Well, according to most people, they would say we are the idiots because we are following the idiot in charge.
Right. So we've been doing something called authentic media. We've got a little crest on our website. Wayne Peters, Will Dove have a little crest on their website because we're starting something called authentic media, and we're going to make this an actual thing. And you have to sign a declaration and a promise that you're going to follow these credos. And we're still putting that together. We're still figuring out the best things to put on here, but here's a good start. Like, this is the anti-propaganda list. Correct. Now, and I like this as well. Number one, this is the propaganda to the backdoor hack into your mind the good way. Number one, truth, honest opinion is practical, moral, and unbiased, which is we're biased. Like we hate globalists, and we're not, but we're equal opportunity as far as conservative and liberals go, left wing, right wing.
As long as it's honest and fact-based, we'll throw it out there.
Yeah, perfect. And so the next one is focus. Address only one or two most points, which is something that a lot of let me tell you about safe and effective. Okay, so it's not safe and effective. No, now let me tell you about lizard people.
Right.
We also need to learn the easy in.
Well, all you have to do is go to any rally, and there's like 10 different signs. So what exactly is that rally about?
It's about whatever it means to whoever at the time. But you're right. I mean, we just need to be able to let people kind of assimilate portions of it, because you're dismantling their reality, and that's even scarier than the reality they present. Right.
Correct.
So clarity, easily understood without further explanation. That's great. I'm starting to learn. We just need to do everything with sound bites.
Everything Jody's way.
Oh, no. No, that is not what the takeaway from that one. Number 4, resonate. Identify the audience's existing sentiments, opinions, and stereotypes that influence their perspectives, beliefs, and actions. Believe me, it's now become their pinpointing the trauma. They're hitting that trauma and making everything fear-based. And that's why, like I just said, we can't give them a scarier reality than the reality that they're afraid of already. Yeah. Right. Respond. Lies not immediately refuted become the audience's truth. That's true. People have gotten really good at doing that. Not safe and effective. Yeah. Investigate, collect, and analyze their propaganda to understand their message, target audience, and objectives. And that's basically, that is the core of what we do on this show.
Yes.
We break down their communication plans so it makes it obvious to everyone else. Expose covert sources of false propaganda, like Fistman's fraud.
Correct.
People are on that as well. That's really great. Number 8, reason. Expose their logical fallacies. Human cognitive biases for rapid thought response make us vulnerable to faulty reasoning. This is true. Disseminate. Share exposed propaganda with audiences not targeted. They can then recognize the lies and reciprocate.
And we are trying our darndest to do that.
Yeah, but we're not the only ones. A lot of people, I mean, if nothing else, everybody's have a really great intensive masterclass on psychological warfare, and they're getting good at fighting back. And, we saw that at the convoy at first. They knew how to handle the media. They knew how to handle the lies. When they said, it's all full of white supremacists, the truckers got together and they did nothing but send out messages and videos with people who were non-white, who were part of the convoy, and having a great time and loving in like everyone else. Right. So that's a good list. I think that's a good list. I support that list.
So yeah. It's good. Good job, Fleck.
Why? What did I do?
putting together that list
Oh.
to counter the list I found.
I didn't.
No, it was a great list.
It
And
just came
authentic
with
media
it. It
makes
was the same.
sense, right?
Right.
It's our declaration.
So authentic media, we haven't talked too much about it, but authentic media is basically truth and not bias. And I mean, one of the tenets
Facts over
is
fiction.
you are willing to tell people the news that the government does not want them to hear. And that's a big thing with authentic media. And we are going to make this a thing. And we will accredit people who are honest and non-biased and within reason. We're all biased. And it's funny because we've been accused of being biased. And well, of course we are. We are the answer to a biased media. So this biased media, you're getting all one messaging from all of mainstream media. We're the answer to that. We have to come up with the other side of that. So you actually know what the counter and the truth is.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, go to our newsletter and we've got news from everything. And we even take news from the biased media if it's true, if it fact checks out. So it's all about fact checking, evidence-based, truth, the nature of reality.
Right. And that's a good point there, Julius. That's a good counter propaganda, but too bad they had to be defensive and be ashamed of maybe too many white people all in one place. Well, that's true too. Like why do we have to defend that? There's just a big white portion of the communities. But I think the part of that's really important is that it wasn't one race. It was literally how the melting pot was supposed to work without division and little like towns, separate communities separated from
Little Italy,
right, our own
Chinatown,
countries in
Greek town. Yeah.
Right. So, I think exposing the CBC lies was the biggest part of that whole thing. Right.
Definitely.
So we talked about this weekend. We did this whole off-grid conference. We have garden towers. So let's start with the garden towers and show you our garden towers. Now we sell these on the website because we actually truly believe in them. And when we had our garden tower going, they've been stripped down or redoing them. We were picking lettuce off there.
Oh
we
my
couldn't
gosh.
eat. We had to give lettuce away. We had too much
From April
fruit for salads.
from April to the middle of July.
Yeah.
We had 4 people living here constantly, and we had people over on the weekends all the time. And we had salad literally every night, and we still couldn't keep up with the lettuce coming off there and had to give lettuce away. We were sending it with people as they left. Please take some salad with you. So it is something we use. And again, we say we don't partner with anybody unless we actually believe in the product. The garden towers are something we use, but we decided to show you as we are setting up the garden towers for our second cycle of use, what that looks like.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to show the WEF that we're better at making food, and we don't need their chemicals from the clouds that are raining down on us on our food either. So by doing them ourselves in our own homes or in our own walpinis or greenhouses, we have better, fresher tasting food than what they can provide for us at the supermarkets.
Right. Yeah. Our garden's outside. We're heavily chemtrailed. So the garden's inside. We're doing really well. So we're starting again. We thought we would just walk you through the process so you can all see.
Hey everyone. So Chris and I are starting our second cycle on our tower garden. We do sell this on tfmreport.com on our partners page. And we just wanted you to know that we don't sell anything that we don't actually use ourselves. So starting our second cycle, we thought we'd show you how easy it is to actually garden inside your house. So don't worry if you don't have a green thumb. All you do is you take these little squares, and I don't know what the proper name of them is. I just call them the little squares. You put your seeds inside. You put vermiculite inside, which all comes with your tower garden. And then you pop these once you get some greenery right into the pods. It is that easy, my friends. Plug it in, turn it on, and it rains water down on top of them. And in less than a couple of weeks, you've got arugula, strawberries, tomatoes, cucumber, all for you to eat anytime you want. All from the comforts of inside your home, protected from chemtrails. So we will check in regularly with you to show you the growth as it happens, so you too can be a gardener in your own home.
Sorry, muted mic. Doing too many things at once. So we have that going, and then this weekend we started building a Wallapini hydroponic in-ground greenhouse.
That's right. It's an underground greenhouse, and it will eventually run itself.
Eventually, yes. So I'm not.
Did you do a video of you doing the Wallapini?
Well, I was trying to keep you to walking or talking there. I'm not sure that video is actually working right now.
So
that's where I was just typing that in.
That's okay. So we literally just started it this weekend. We had Justin from Expert Contracting come. It was thrown at him literally at last minute. He thought he was building an underground cellar. And at the last minute, he was told, oh no, it's a Wallapini. He's never built a Wallapini before. So we were all literally learning together. But he brought his excavation equipment and dug out a hole I guess it was about 6 feet into the ground. You have to go below the frost line for the Wallapini to work. Frost line usually sits about 4 feet. So he dug out, it's about, 10 feet long by about 8 feet wide.
Well, we got the video. We'll show you.
Oh, you've got the video? Perfect.
This is what we were doing all weekend.
Well, this is our Wallapini garden. We are greenhouse. We can't be lazy gardeners all of our lives. The one problem with the garden towers is you need power. And so you can grow food inside all the time with the garden tower. That's great. All year round, easy peasy, lettuce right at your fingertips. But all year round in the wintertime, if you have no power, this is our solution for that. We're still in the beginning stages of this thing, but this is our Wallapini hydroponic greenhouse. I'm still learning. So the sun will come in. We've got a cold snap trench down here, so the cold air stays down there and pushes the warm air up into our boxes and onto our shelves. And then we'll have a pump down there that will pump water up into the roof and come down in a mist. It keeps itself warm thanks to the sun. It keeps itself hydrated thanks to its sort of self-contained ecosystem. Like I say, we've just started, so we're not quite there yet, but we'll check back in like we do with the garden tower when this thing is done and completed, and we'll show you exactly how it works, and that'll come soon.
Right. So we learned a lot this weekend because we were digging this thing out. We had no idea how this thing works, but you basically, you can get fish in there and the fish clean the water, and then you pump that up into the ceiling. You can do that with a solar powered pump, or you can do that. So you don't necessarily need power. And then that goes up in top and then rains back down on the plants, and then the runoff goes in and sort of fills back into the fish tank. Yeah. So it's self life cycles itself. Yeah. So,
and once we get on to how it actually works, you can actually raise bunnies and chickens in there as well. And there's a space that you start mealy worms, and you put your compost in there, and the mealy worms will eat the compost, which will help your soil for your plants. But the mealy worms you can feed to your chickens and rabbits.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. So that one's a little tiny, but for all of that stuff, that sounds like a lot going on in one little room. But for us, as we're learning, so it's dug down below the frost line, and then this other cold trench. So the cold air goes down into that trench, pushes the warm air up, and then it also catches water. And then that water drains into, we've got it figured out, into a fish tank. The fish clean the water and then send it back up, recycled.
Exactly.
So,
and then you have
apparently tilapia, which is good to eat as well.
Is what you put in the fish tank. And apparently you also put out rain barrels that also run into the fish tank as well. So you're catching that.
Right.
And all your food that you grow is in shelves with holes in the bottom. So the rain hits the first shelf and then percolates its way through down to the bottom, and everything gets watered and nothing gets drenched or flooded out.
Yeah. So our final story. Well, we will update you. We will do regular updates on both of those as they go. I got to do a lot of work on both of those things. So our final story is a story technically that started in March, and it made its rounds in March. And that was when they started announcing the budget, the renters bill of rights.
Talking about the rent,
right,
for the budget,
right. And so Trudeau's come back out and he's reinitiated this thing because the budget came out since then. So they were pre-announcing it before the budget, getting everybody excited for fairness for all, inclusively, not inclusively. So Trudeau here is explaining it, and as always, none of us can listen to Trudeau and get through a whole video, so we always pitch his voice to help us all get through this.
Let's talk about credit scores. Wait, don't scroll. This is important. A credit score is basically a rating that banks and financial institutions assign to you to determine how responsible you are with money. Like, do you pay your bills on time? So when it comes time for you to ask for a loan, like applying for a mortgage so you can buy your first home, they'll check your credit score. Having a good credit score means they can offer you a better mortgage, which will give you more choice when buying a home, more options to choose from, because the bank trusts you to pay it back. For most young people, the biggest and most important payment you make is on rent. And if you've been paying that on time for years, that should count towards your credit score. I think it should work to your advantage. Soon, it's going to. We're going to change the rules of the game so you can report your rent payments towards your credit score, so you can get a better mortgage, so you can get a place of your own sooner.
Right. Oh, Todd says that guy is going to Has Been Hotel.
Has Been Hotel.
Yeah, we can't get through it. So basically their pitch is you are going to, your rent is going to go towards your credit score. Now, I always thought, well, why isn't that happening anyway? I've always thought, well, why wouldn't your rent be included in that? Because you're paying your rent every month, and why not? Here's the thing. Your credit score is always applied to
the
banks and government-run institutions like hydro, and also car payments when it comes to official loans.
It's all, your credit score is all controlled by banks and big corporations.
Right. Or OSFI, as we've learned, runs this financial institution. So all of the financial stuff is run through the government. What is not run through the government? Rent.
Because you're typically paying rent to a homeowner, not always a corporation. And if it is a corporation, it's typically a small corporation owned by, a mom and pop down the road.
Right. Now there's rent regulations for sure, but this is basically social interaction is what rent is, social interaction. So let's call this for what it is. This is the first initiation of a social credit score.
Correct. And sometimes you pay rent and it goes to Joe and Bob down the road, and they've given you a break on your rent because you pay them cash, so they don't have to pay income tax on it. But you're getting a break and getting cheaper rent than anywhere else. So you don't want to claim that anyway, or you make enough money that you don't get a tax break by claiming rent receipts anyway. So that's another way to keep tax dollars out of the government's pockets. So introducing this, saying, hey, you're going to get a credit rating now for your rent, is one way to drive cash rent out. And another way to take down Bob and Joe Smith down the road and force them into corporations and claiming that money. And I'll let you continue before I go on anymore.
Okay, sure.
Because I know you have a couple more points.
Well, yeah, we got lots. So this is basically where I got this. It's from the budget 2024, more affordable homes. They talk about how all that's going to work. So when they were saying renters' bill of rights, which is an offensive term anyway. And just a side note, we just talked about being biased. This is one of those examples where we're very biased when we pitch up Trudeau's voice. Yeah, sure. Unprofessional, of course it is. But helps us get through it without having to use the barf bags. So the federal government has a few plans in solving the housing crisis, and I'm just going to read from a select couple of these things. The government is already making the math work for home builders by breaking down regulatory and zoning barriers. So that can only mean regulatory barriers is... we already know that the housing inspectors really don't do their jobs anymore. Correct. And they push it on insurance, who doesn't really follow through.
It's all just more money for the government at the end of the day.
So when they say they're breaking down regulatory and zoning barriers, that both of those are red flags for me, of course. Providing direct low-cost financing and making more land available. And the only way they can do that is make federal land available, which is what they already talk about. So, we are looking at them probably parceling out forest and parkland here in Ontario, close to our hometown.
And government becoming landlords.
Exactly. And recruiting the next generation of skilled trade workers and transforming how homes are built to increase construction productivity. Budget 2024 announces a new action to support renters and lowers the cost of home ownership. For renters, new action will protect them from unfair practices like steep rent increases, which is already in place, and reno-evictions, which is sort of in place.
It's already in place.
Yeah, exactly.
Landlord and tenant board.
They don't need to add
covers
much
them.
to it. Yeah. Reno-evictions still happen, but they can't get away with it as easy as they used to be able to. And unlock new pathways for them to become homeowners, including ensuring that they get credit for rental payments. All right. Social credit score. Like we said, for first-time home buyers, new support will make it easier to save their down payment faster and get their first mortgage. And existing homeowners with mortgages will benefit from new protections from rising payments through the strengthened Canadian mortgage charter. So in a nutshell, what that sentence means is they're going to protect mortgage owners from increased interest rates, which they drove up through their bad management. And we went into that not that long ago, whereas there are things like carbon tax are driving up the inflation. So Bank of Canada can't reduce the interest rates because they don't have confidence yet that they can be reduced. So they're keeping that up. So in turn, what they're going to do is now give you money to offset their bad management, which is in turn going to drive up inflation even more. So all they're going to get out of is hopefully they're going to get to pay off some new voters, is what they're hoping for in there.
But the funny thing is that it talks about keeping the house pricing down so that you, with your new credit score, will be able to afford a house. Well, the average price of a home is $800,000 or just under $800,000 here in Ontario. I don't know too many young people who need help establishing credit scores by using their rent as a credit score up in order to afford a home, because I don't know too many young people that make enough money to afford an $800,000 home. So this is the big your plan doesn't make sense, Mr. Trudeau, because credit plays a role in you being able to qualify for a mortgage, but more importantly, your income pays a role in whether you qualify for a mortgage or not. And most people buying homes as first-time homeowners are over the age of 30. They've probably got a credit card under their belt. They've probably had a car loan by this time. So they've already established credit. So they don't need your stupid, stinking rent credit either.
Let's talk about why houses are so expensive in the first place. And this is the icing on the wacko cake. This is something that we've been saying for a long time, not only on the show, but I know that the people who are critical of the Liberal government have been saying for a very long time, your excessive immigration policy that are bringing too many people in too quickly are a burden on the infrastructure, and it's causing housing prices to go up. And they have said in response that entire time, what have they said? You're a racist. That's what they've said. No. Racist. So you'd say something and some of the Liberal leaders or Liberal followers would go, oh yeah, no, that's a good point. And they come back to the Liberals and they say, oh, no, white supremacy. And, oh yeah, white supremacy. So they back right off again, right? So this is in the budget 2024. Yeah. Oh, you look like you're chomping to say something.
I'm just saying it's simple math, supply and demand. Anybody who knows anything about capitalism, anybody that knows anything about supply chain management understands the price of housing is what it is because there's not enough housing for people. Therefore, supply and demand. Demand for housing surges, presses up. I know everybody wants to say, oh, it's the realtors price fixing. Has nothing to do with the realtors. The realtors aren't the ones buying the house. It is supply and demand. And when you're bringing in 1.5 million extra people per year into our country, and we already don't have enough houses for the people who live here, what do you think is going to happen? Especially when those coming into the country legally actually have to bring over $200,000 cash with them. They now have $200,000 cash in their pockets. They can afford to outbid the Canadian young person who has lived here their whole lives, born and bred here, paid taxes their whole life, but can't afford to buy in the community they grew up in, because they don't have that $200,000 cash that was demanded of them to come here. So those immigrants can now afford to outbid the person
that's not even getting into the shenanigans with BlackRock and
no, and that's without corporations buying up.
Right. So we've been saying that we've been getting called racist, and honestly, it doesn't matter where they come from. I don't care what country they come from. Having too many people too quickly is not good for our system. And now Jeremy McKenzie just put out a scathing podcast about how the immigrants are getting paid they're getting their wages offset. So they're undercutting our own workers now. They're pricing us out of the market. And I think he just put that podcast out today. So go check that out.
He did, but we know that's happening in Windsor, because there was we reported on it in our newsletter about how they're bringing in immigrants to build these houses and to work in the manufacturing corporations that are being built in Windsor, when they've got skilled tradespeople currently sitting on the unemployment line. They're like, well,
and that's where I think Trudeau rushed in ahead of Ford, so he couldn't answer that reporter's question, because I think Ford is fed up with that. He has always been kind of about the workers and unions and whatnot. I mean, he dropped the ball with COVID, but that's a different story. Anyway, so at the crux of this effort of ensuring that fiscal policy works in tandem with monetary policy, and that Canada's immigration policy works in tandem with housing policy, the government recently announced plans to adjust immigration programming, which would lead to about 600,000 fewer temporary residents in Canada compared to the current levels. These efforts are critical to creating the necessary conditions to lower interest rates, lower housing demand, and restore housing affordability. So they call us racists for 10 years, and now they're admitting, yeah, our bad policies is what made houses priced out of the market and is keeping interest rates up. So basically they're saying, yeah, here it is. Nobody can afford anything now. So does that make them racist now? I don't know. Is that how that works? Now they're the racists?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. They're talking sanely and giving us facts, and not racist at all. Racist at all.
No, it's disinformation when we say it, information when they say it.
We go to jail if we say it. They get a new home because they get our home because we're in jail.
And that's very cynical. Yes, they did do it on purpose. They've been doing it on purpose forever. But now they're saying, well, now that we've destroyed the country, maybe we'll make it look like we're not, because you know what? Elections might be coming up soon.
No. Elections won't be for another year and a half. That way, all those Liberals and NDPs, including Mr. Singh, will qualify for their pension forever and ever and ever by screwing over the Canadian public. Thank you.
And then him and Trudeau can whisk off to Costa Rica together.
Yeah. So if you think we're getting an election anytime soon, think
lovers.
again, because Mr. Singh, Jagmeet Singh, if he loses his seat, no longer qualifies for his lifelong pension. So he's never going to vote for an election. He's never going to vote against Trudeau, and especially on this budget, he most certainly is not going to vote, because if he votes against this budget, guess what? That means election.
And no pensions. That's right. Of course, they're going to keep that political thing going. I don't know what it will take at this point. Maybe the people need to rise up. Maybe the people need to take all their money out of the banks so they don't have bank accounts to freeze. And then they maybe need to withhold their taxes until we have a non-corrupt government. Maybe go after the money. Maybe defund our own government. Maybe that's what we need to do.
Because we know with this budget going through, and we know it's going to go through because MPs' pensions depend on it going through. That means carbon tax is here to stay and will be going up another 23%. That means if you have investments or cottage property or anything like that, you're going to lose 67% of that. Or if you've got someone who's going to be dying anytime soon and you're set to inherit, not only are you going to pay estate tax on that, but you're going to lose 67% of that inheritance to the government because of this budget. So please keep that in mind, folks.
You're going to be paying mortgage on your grave plot.
You
soon.
got it.
Yeah.
So, you don't want any of this to happen. You need to stand up and be loud and take some action.
Rise up.
Rise up.
Right.
Rise up.
Okay.
Rise
So, yes, that was beautiful. All right. So that's it. We will not be here live on Thursday, but we will be finishing off that series on Thursday. We're going to be seeing.
So the committee of 300 on Thursday, right?
Yes. We'll be finishing our secret societies with the committee of 300, who's kind of, they're the granddaddy umbrella of everything else. Do we want to get into the Illuminati and Masons? Nah, everybody's got that covered. So
the
we're
Club
going
of Rome.
We're doing the lesser ones that people
The
have.
Skull and Bones.
Yes.
I don't know. There's so many secret societies.
Yeah. So Michael Chuchong wants to remind us of one more thing.
The WEF.com. Michael Chuchong, come on in and talk about what the WEF.com.
Michael Chuchong, come on down.
Yeah, we just got another domain here. Just try to wake people up, and we got your 1984 video posted up there, and I think that's about it. It's going to be a very basic website. We'll probably change out the videos and have a little bit of information, but just a quick, catchy website to catch people's eyes, and it might not turn people away who are unaware of what's going on.
Yeah, people like that video. It's weird to me, but okay. They like it. It was the rally video we did for the 1984 rally, and we just had that playing on a loop, and I put it up on Rumble just cuz, and people are going bonkers for it.
People are grabbing it.
Yeah, I have no idea what people like, obviously.
But you know what the WEF.com I think is supposed to be like a fun, entertaining way to educate the masses, not just the echo chamber, but the masses. So if you've got someone in your family that, appreciates maybe some humor or some fun videos, that might be the website to send them to. Now, as Michael said, the content is currently being built, so there's only one video there at the moment, but you'll gradually start seeing some fun videos, maybe some comic strips. Hit whatthewef.com.
Whatthewef.com. Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's all the promotion I think that we've got for the rest of the night.
I think so. And I don't think that there's anything huge going on this weekend that we can talk about. I don't have anything in my schedule. Surprise, surprise. Mother's Day is on Sunday. Don't forget to hug your moms. Tell them how much you love them. And you know what? If you can't go and see them, which is by far the best gift you can give them.
Todd.
It'd be a great show. The best thing you can give your mom is your time and attention, and maybe cook her dinner. She would really love that, I'm sure. But if you can't do that, at least give her a phone call and tell her that how much you appreciate her and love her and everything she ever did for you and the knowledge she gave you. Give her a big hug and kiss.
And with that, we will see you on Monday in person, but Thursday show's still going.
Enjoy the committee of 300 on Thursday, folks.
All right. Good night, everybody.